afternoon. I'm Laura Zervos, and I'm a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist. And I'm so happy to be here today for Lending Hearts and provide some nutritional content and to do that portion for them. I really enjoy doing this. We do a cooking demonstration every month. And if this is your first time joining us, I always like to make as much as possible in that hour and talk about nutrition information or anything particular about keeping our food safe and keeping it healthy, serving up, various topics that we cover, less than 30-minute meals, meals that are anti-inflammatory, whole food ingredients, all of those things. I like to point out the nutritional information when possible and just show you some new cooking methods or show you some shortcuts. I'm always happy to do that. We're going to make 4 things today. We're always ambitious. We're going to make a shrimp with orzo. We're also going to make a red lentil pasta. That's really exciting. I like that. A radicchio and endive salad, and also we're going to make some homemade dressings. So really excited to share these. They'll all be on my website, larazervos.com, and I try to post some pictures showing, in the process in case you miss anything, and also put the nutritional content on there as well for your convenience. So when you're looking at those, you could see how that fits into your pattern. And remember, it's all about our pattern. It's a 7-day rolling average of all the choices that we make. So we want to make sure that most of the time, that we're choosing really good whole foods in their most pure form, that we are not adding, be careful to what we add, be careful of what we're purchasing, trying to purchase. We always try to purchase in season for the peak ripeness, for the best selection, and for the best price as well. Right now, we're finishing up February. That's hard to believe, coming into springtime. So I thought we would do some spring vegetables in there. The obviously the radicchio, the endive. We have arugula, red onions. In our dressing, we have all kinds of herbs and spices in there. So I'm excited to do that. And I'm just looking around. And then our shrimp dish too. Still something comforting for this time of year. So because we still have some winter left. But let's get started. Our first dish is going to take a little bit of time, so we're going to get that started right away. It is our orzo with shrimp dish. And it's not really baked. I have seen this baked before. You could probably bake it, but I like to do this on the stovetop because this does come together in under 30 minutes. So it's nice to do it that way, all in one dish. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to just saute our garlic first. Get everything going here. And we're just going to add a little bit of olive oil to our skillet. I think I have some measured out here for us. But like I said, this is a nice dish that comes together very quickly. Let that get started. This does come together very quickly. So if you're pressed for time, especially, let me go get the ingredients. It doesn't take too long for it to come together. So I will adjust my camera here and show you everything that we have that we're going to be using. Okay. So we have some crushed tomatoes, we have fresh parsley, salt and pepper, crushed red pepper, some olive oil, some water, and I also have our feta cheese and a little bit of a dry white wine. And also before class started, I took some shrimp because we need to marinate that just a little bit. And I'm going to drain this off. And we've just been marinating it in a little lemon juice and some garlic. So I have some more garlic over there, and I'm going to get that started along with our red pepper. So let me drain the shrimp off and get everything going. I'm going to add our red pepper. I'm going to add some garlic. Let that go for a minute. Let me drain our shrimp. Because if this is your first time with us, we know that that the shrimp will We don't want it to be overly wet because it will steam as it's cooking instead of getting, nice and crisp. And again, this was just in some lemon juice and a little bit of garlic. And I just wanted to let it sit like that a little bit before class. And I just want to do it like this so you could see I'm going to push out some more liquid. Give it a little, press it down a little bit. Okay. You could hear I still have some more liquid coming out of there. My colander doesn't have a whole lot of the holes on the bottom, so I'm just going to tilt that over to the side, get everything out. All right, we'll just leave that sit for a little bit. And just set this aside, and I'm going to go over and add a few more things to our dish here. I'm going to add our wine. Our garlic is cooking and our hot there. Just let that cool down. Don't be afraid. Just get it. Just let that cool down a little bit. Sorry about that. Just talking too long. And we're going to let that simmer for a couple of minutes. And then we're going to stir in our tomatoes and our orzo. So I wanted to show you, let me adjust our camera here. There we go. And you hear that little pop. All right, we're probably going to have another little, there we go. All right, so that's cool down. And on my website, you'll see that you could either do 100% of the tomatoes, and those are my own tomatoes that have a lot more liquid in them. So I'm going to bypass the water, and I'm just going to use that wine, and I'm going to stir in my orzo now. We're just going to let this all come together. And add our orzo, and I have a cup of orzo in here. And we're just going to let that cook down. And this is nice because it's just a one dish, one skillet dish. Okay, turn that down a little. And I'm going to move the rest of our prep. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to it now. Okay, and then I'm going to move all of our other items over there, and that is just, I'll show you, we have our parsley and we have our feta that we're going to put over that. And we're just going to let this orzo cook for probably about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just going to let that simmer just like it is. Go, and I'm just going to put our timer on. And I'm going to move our shrimp over here too. We're going to let the orzo cook for a little bit. Let that shrimp, let some of that liquid come off. And then, like I said, I'm going to put the feta and the parsley aside over here. And we will get back to that in a little bit. And we will get started on our next dish. So let's move this to over here, because our next dish we're going to saute as well. And in this one is really nice. We're going to, you could either use some, this is our one that we're going to do with pancetta, or you could also use with a little prosciutto. So let me get that prep for us. I have it wrapped up real nice so our prosciutto wouldn't dry out. Let me show you the ingredients. This is our red lentil pasta with arugula and pancetta. So I like to use the red lentil pasta. It's very high in fiber. If you haven't tried it yet, I think you'll like it. It is also gluten-free. So for our friends that are gluten-free, we don't always have to use the traditional gluten-free products that are made with alternate kinds of flour. We could also use red lentil pasta. We could use the chickpea pasta and also edamame. All of those are gluten-free. They're all high in protein and they're all high in fiber. So they have a very low net carb content and they make a great addition. And I think that you'll find that a lot of them, like even the red lentil, it's nice and tender. It's a nice replacement for our traditional pastas. So I think you'll find that's a nice substitute. So I just wanted to cover our prosciutto while I had my prep done because I didn't want it to dry out. So we just need a little bit. And I'm just going to crisp that up a little bit. We just want to get a little bit of the fat out of here. And like I said, you could either use some pancetta, you could use bacon, you could use diced ham, anything like that will work. So we'll just let that render a little bit while we talk. And excuse me, let me just get a drink here. I have a small tickle in my throat. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to just give this a little bit of a stir. Let me get another put this over here, just get some of this off of here. And then we're going to take our prosciutto out of here, and then we're going to add our artichoke hearts. So we have artichoke hearts, red pepper, and that is going to go with the pasta. And then we're also going to stir some arugula in there too. So it's nice to have some of these, we're going to be doing our shrimp with the orzo, but it's nice to have some other dishes too that are, meat-free, that we might want to try to do some more plant-based meals. This is an excellent one. And we're not losing out on the protein because we are going to get a lot of protein out of our pasta. I want to say, let me show you the one that I used today for class. It is one from a local store, or actually a national store. And as far as the nutrition, we have 2 ounces of dry equals 1 cup of cooked. And that's typically what most pastas are, anywhere between 190 and 210 calories. This one has 36 grams of carb, 6 fiber. So a net carb of 30, and it has 15 grams of protein. So that's a really good source of protein and fiber. So that's a really nice addition to our diet. And if we look at the ingredients, it just says organic red lentil flour. Only 1 ingredient, very simple, really nice addition to your eating pattern. We're just going to give this a little stir. And then we're going to take the prosciutto out of here and just use that, the fat that we rendered out of here. We're just looking to get that flavor, and then later on it'll be a nice addition. So I'm going to take this out with a slotted spoon and put it aside. We'll use that later. We have a little bit of that oil in here. We're going to add our artichokes. Make sure you get it all out of here so it doesn't burn, and then we'll add it in later and it'll be really delicious. So let's take that out and a little bit of our oil there. And we're going to add in, I have some quartered artichokes. You could use marinated artichokes if you want for some extra flavor. I'm just using a nice quartered organic artichoke. We've had them a lot lately in our recipes, and it's just a really nice go-to this time of year. Just a really nice way to get some other vegetables in, and especially they're nice to have around. If you have a can of artichokes around, it's something nice to have. And we're just going to put them in our skillet like that. And we'll just saute those a few minutes, and I'm going to give our orzo a little bit of a stir. And that's coming along nicely. And then we're going to let that go for a little bit. And then we're going to put our shrimp on top. So that probably needs to go another 5 minutes. We'll let our artichokes go in here. We'll just give them a little bit of I just want them to get slightly brown. So I'm going to just try not to, I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. And we'll just let them go. And we'll stir in everything else that we have. That'll be a really nice dish. We have our pasta. We may need to move that over to a bigger skillet. Let's see. Yeah, we might need to move to our bigger skillet. So anyhow, we're going to stir into our pasta, a little bit of the reserved pasta water, and then we're going to let that come together, get a little bit thicker, and then we're going to add our arugula to it. So it'll be a really nice dish. I don't know if you've ever experimented with arugula. So here it is. And if you've never had it, it's a wonderful addition to our to salads. It adds a nice peppery flavor. So it's, you know, you could eat it alone in your salad. You can mix it with, if you don't have a lot or it's cost prohibitive in your area, even a small amount mixed in with romaine or some other leafy greens would be a really nice addition. It adds so much flavor. And of course, since it's dark leafy, what's going to give us the vitamin A, vitamin C, and a lot of our B vitamins. So it's a nice addition to our diet, to our eating pattern. So let me just give these a stir. Let them get a little bit brown. And I think our last few, we had made a chicken thigh and artichoke dish. We also had artichokes in our salad a few weeks ago that I think that might have been our January or our December class. So lots of fun ways to use them. And like I said, it's so easy to have when you're looking for those quick weeknight meals, having some things that are accessible that you don't have to buy fresh. Obviously, we had to get our arugula fresh today, but it's nice to have some things on hand as well, like the artichokes, like tuna, like the beans that we're going to have in our other dish. So lots to talk about. So let me give these another stir. And they're getting nice and brown. And we are going to just add a little bit of oil to our other pan here, and we will transfer everything over. Okay. Let those go for a little bit. Give our orzo a stir. And that's coming along nicely. And like I said, if you were to buy, I use the whole quart of my tomatoes that I canned because there is a lot of liquid in them. So you have that option. Or if you buy I believe it's a 28-ounce can of the crushed tomatoes, you could do that and add a half cup of water to that as well. Because you need some type of liquid in there to let that orzo soak it up and to cook real nicely. So that is looking really good. Our artichokes are looking good. So we could start moving on with that. We'll add some of those things back in. So I'm going to add these here. Make sure we get all the drippings, and our artichokes have soaked up all of that fat from the prosciutto, which is nice. So we'll just stir them in here. We're going to add everything back in. Let me move this over for us. Okay. All right. So let me just show you what all is going to go into here. We're going to add our pepper, our red pepper here. Add that. We're going to add our salt and pepper. And we're going to add our pasta and the pasta water. So I have our pasta right here. I made it right before class. And here we go. This is the red lentil pasta. So you could see it looks just like I used the spaghetti. You could use any shape you want in this one. But you could see it holds up really nicely. It's going to be delicious. And it's beautiful color too. So I don't know if you could tell, but it's nice and has a nice red hue to it. So we'll add this. We're going to add our pasta water. Okay, let that get going. And then we're going to let that go for a little bit. I'm going to just continue to stir this so it moves along nicely. And I have a little bit more water over here too that we could add just in case we need more, like our pasta water. Just keep giving that a stir. And this is going to come together real quickly. I'm just going to keep stirring just so we get all of the pasta water is going to make it a little bit creamier of a sauce versus rather just adding the water, because it has that starch in it that was from our pasta. So it'll make it a little bit thicker, make it a little bit more interesting. And let's give our orzo a stir. And that looks like it's coming along really nicely. So I think we're ready to add our shrimp. Let me show you what this looks like. There's our orzo and the tomato, and we have the white wine, and we also have the pepper and the garlic in there. So let's go ahead and we'll add our shrimp that we had marinated in the lemon juice and garlic. That has been draining real nicely, so that's nice and ready to go here. Just squeeze out a little bit more. And we're just going to add that right to our dish, and we're just going to put it right on top. Just make sure that it gets in there. We're just only has to get in there for a little bit, just till it's opaque. Okay. That's going to be really a nice dish. Easy, you know, it's going to come together in less than 30 minutes. So that's a really nice one to have. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that. I'm going to turn the heat down and cover that. Okay. So that's going really nicely. Our pasta, let me show you that. So we have our pasta. You can see our artichokes in there. I'm going to add some other things back in. Okay, that's coming along nicely. And we're going to go ahead and add our prosciutto back in. So we have that cooked real nicely, or pancetta, or bacon. It's going to add a lot of flavor to our dish. And then we're also going to add our fresh arugula. And we're just going to stir this all together. And that arugula, it's nice because arugula, like we're using two things today. We're going to use an escarole, and we're also using our arugula. And it's nice because both of those could be eaten raw or cooked, and they're both delicious. So this gets very nice when it's wilted. And if you remember, we also did a dish where we had a meatball, and we served that right on the arugula. Just a nice option, just a different way to serve it. So really a nice addition. So we're just going to keep letting this, I'm just going to keep on tossing it till that arugula gets nice and wilty, if that's a word, wilted. That's just something that comes together real quickly. Okay. So we're just going to let this go a little longer. Now just to show you this, how beautiful that looks. Just the camera. So we've got a lot going on. We've got the red, the green, the red pepper, the green arugula, the red pasta, you know, and the nice artichoke. So that's just a beautiful, colorful dish for your weeknight. And we're just gonna let that go a little bit. I may add just a little bit more water to that dish. Okay, and we're gonna let that go. And I'm just going to cover that and turn the heat off so the arugula continue to wilt a little bit, and we will move these out. We'll move our orzo over here. And just check on this. Yeah, and that's coming along nicely. And you can see our, well, I'll show you in a minute, our shrimp is getting really nice, and we just want this to I'm going to leave the lid open a little bit just to soak up some of the liquid and get that nice and concentrated. Just give that a little crack and then I will show you. And let's move on to I have some cheese set aside for that. And we will just move everything over and get ready for our next dish, which is a really nice salad for us. And I think you're going to like it. Oh, let me get our dish over here. I kept calling this escargot. It's actually endive. So I have, let me show you where I have it. I have this is our radicchio. And what I did was I just pulled off the leaves real nicely. That's all you want to do. You can cut into you if you want. What I did was I pulled off the leaves one by one and then washed them really well and then dried them before class. So you just want to tear them apart real nicely. And the same, with our endive, I just took that apart and I want to show you here what I did with that. You could always just take this and give it a nice little hit, and then that just pulls out real nicely. And the same, let me go grab I don't know if I have another endive here. Same thing that I did with that. And then you just pull out that center. So this too, you just give it a little bit of a hit and then we just pull all of that off. It comes off real nicely. So let me just set that aside. So before class, I just tore all the leaves off and then I have it in our bowl here. We'll add it to our large bowl and then we could go ahead, we'll make our dressing. So let me adjust the camera so you could see that. We're going to this and we're going to whisk a few things together. This is really nice. So we're going to whisk and I didn't take out our honey because sometimes when you go to measure it and then you have it in a prep bowl, it just, you lose a lot. So I just thought we would do it right when we started. So we're going to take, let me see here, a teaspoon, just a teaspoon. And let's put that right in our dish. And we also have our lemon. Put it here, let me show you here. We have our lemon juice. Excuse me. Lemon juice and our honey. So here we go with the honey. So like I said, it's just better just to, you lose too much when you go to put it into a prep dish. And get a little bit of it out this way. All of that in there. I just have to make a cup of tea to get this out of here. All right, we'll set that aside. And we're going to add our salt and pepper. And my whisker is going to whisk this all together. Dijon in here. Sometimes I do that with our Dijon too. I just take it right out of the container. We're going to add some chopped onion, about a half of a red onion. Get that all in here. We're going to just drizzle our oil in. Real quickly though, I'm going to just check on our orzo and shrimp dish, see how that's coming, and it's coming along good nicely. And I'm also going to continue just to let some of that evaporate off of there. Looks like our arugula is nice and wilted, So that's a nice dish. So now we're going to take our olive oil and we're just going to slowly whisk it in here. We're making an emulsion. So you just want a slow stream. Allow it to incorporate. All those onions in there. It's nice and thick. It's not broken. It's not separating on us. Then we're going to take our beans in here. Just going to stir in our beans. Get them nice and coated. Nice and coating. We don't want to smash our beans. Just want to get everything all mixed together. And that'll also help our emulsification stay emulsified, so it won't separate now that it's on everything. And that's why we had our beans. We used a cannellini bean today, nice and high in fiber. And they also, before we did it, I used a canned one today. I did not cook these from dry. And I rinsed them and drained them really well. So you don't want to have any excess liquid on it because that will break the emulsification. So we just want to get that real set together. We already have our spices on. Let me move our prep dishes aside. And then we will go ahead and add them to our dish. Let's just move this here. Just go like this. And we're just going to break it up real nicely. Just want to have a little bit of both. And you want to discard like any stems that might be, it might be hard, or the spine. But that is what's, you know, especially for the endive, but for the radicchio, these little white pieces are also very tasty. And this also too, you could also leave these leaves whole, and that, you know, you could just serve them with the beans inside too as well. That's a nice little appetizer. I have done that before. And this is a nice winter salad. You know, when we don't have the cucumbers and the tomatoes that don't have that beautiful summer taste, it's a good alternative. So in the winter time, I like to do things with cabbage. Cabbage tastes good all year round. It's plentiful in the winter time. And some of these other leafy greens. You know, when the tomatoes aren't juicy and the cucumbers don't have a whole lot of taste like our garden tomatoes and cucumbers do, this is a nice alternative. I like some winter salads. The other thing I like to do in the winter, what we did with our, I think in one of our other winter classes, we did the kale and Brussels sprout salad with mandarin oranges. That's one of my favorites too. That comes together so nicely and it's really refreshing, and it takes the place of some of those things that we can't get this time of year. So that's all. We're just going to give that a little toss, put that all together, and then we're going to pour our white beans right over that. So it's an excellent side dish, an excellent salad. A little bit hearty. Sorry, that slipped right out. I've got the dropsies today. Get all that in there. We could just leave that right on top, and that red from the onions brings out the red from the radicchio. Give that a little stir. Yeah. Beautiful. And we'll just top that with a little bit of our grated Parmesan. Very nice. So there's one of our salads for today. And I'm going to check on our shrimp and orzo dish to see if that's going nicely. All that extra liquid is evaporating. We'll let that go another minute. I'll show you what that looks like. So that looks really good. We'll let that go a little bit longer. Just again, I'm just gonna crack the lid a little bit, keep it on a lower heating, heating. Let's give this a little stir. That looks very good too. So that's beautiful. Let this go. We can just put our cheese on that, and let's do our last. Let me move this cutting board out and get our next one because I have all of our prep on this next one. And this next recipe is kind of fun. It's a nice creamy dressing. A lot of times we're doing a lot with emulsifications today. A lot of times we do the vinaigrettes, which I love doing. We've always done, or we've done frequently, I should say, we've done citrus vinaigrettes. We've done balsamic, we've done red wine, and we've done some other ones today. You're going to love this. This is a nice dressing that's creamier. So let's talk about that. And it has a lot of fresh herbs in it. So I really enjoy making this one. My whisk and everything, and I'll show you how beautiful our prep looks today. All right, so some of these things aside. All right, so let me just adjust and let me show you our beautiful prep. So I have buttermilk, I have champagne vinegar, which is very nice. I have olive oil, lemon juice, and then chopped up here, I have some fresh dill, I have parsley, I have chives, and I have basil, I have shallots, and I have garlic. So, and I have a little bit of Greek yogurt. So this is going to come together really nice. It's just like a nice little creamy herb dressing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our shallot, and let me get a little knife here so I can scoop all of these up. I was running out of prep dishes today, so I just left everything on here. So we'll take our shallot, excuse me, add it to our bowl. Excuse me. So we're going to add that in there. We're going to have our shallot. We'll have our vinegar. And we're just gonna get that all coated in there. And we're also gonna add our lemon juice. And we're gonna add Dijon mustard. And then again, I did not wanna take it out of here because we're only doing a small amount. We're only doing a teaspoon. And sometimes when we put it in our prep dish, it actually makes more work for us. So we're just going to give that a whisk around here. We're going to add a little bit of black pepper to this. And we have our salt. Kosher salt. Pinch. Okay. And we'll just give that a little stir. And we're going to add, I have a little bit of garlic here. Add this in. Smells so good. Now, we're going to just slowly, just like we did with our last one, add our oil. I have about a half cup of oil. Do a nice little strain here. And you may have to take a break and with the stream of oil, and let it catch, make sure you get it all incorporated. So we don't want to break. See how the emulsification is staying? It's not breaking. So you want to make sure that it doesn't break if you go too fast. Keep going, going, going. All right, we've got it all in there. See how it's holding the emulsification real nice there? And we want to go ahead and get those shallots in there. And the next thing we're going to stream in is our buttermilk. So I've got about, let's see, about 2/3 of a cup of buttermilk. If you have to slow down to catch up, to make sure it's all incorporated, that's okay. Buttermilk in there, so I'm not going to pour that whole thing in. And then the last thing we're going to do is add our yogurt. So I'm going to give this a nice stir in here. Make sure we get it all in there real nice. So if you have to give your, see how that, oh, what a nice dressing here. We've got it coming along here. Really good. So that's what I'm saying. You want to make sure this is, that your yogurt is, you want to use room temperature. I had everything nice in room temperature because I was getting ready for class. So if you're making this at home, you want to make sure that you give things a chance to come to. Look how nice. See, that's the ticket. You see how this looks like we've almost emulsified this in a blender. You can do by hand. You just have to go two things: slow with the oil, slow with the liquids, the buttermilk and the yogurt, and fast with the whisking. So that's how cooks we keep our muscles up. When we make hollandaises and mayonnaise and béarnaise, and we make our emulsifications. Okay, I think we've got it all out of there. And it's so worth it. It's so worth it to make homemade dressings. I have today, the buttermilk was local. I'm using a nice Greek yogurt. All of my herbs were not local, but they are all organic. So this time of year, I do have some frozen of these varieties. Well, I did have basil. You can see the basil on the counter behind me. But anyhow, it's nice to, I'm going to add these two while we're talking. I have here the parsley, some chives, my chives, some basil, and I had some dill in there too. Hold off on that extra parsley. But you could add whatever herbs you want. It's just going to make it, play around. Don't be afraid to experiment. This looks great. So, so many people are intimidated by making their own dressing. They think it's difficult. Look how nicely that came together. And it's so, I always recommend, we talk about it every class. I'm going to get a little tasting spoon here. We talk about it, about getting your ingredients together. You always want to read through the entire recipe and make sure there's no surprises in there. Like you wouldn't want to start making something without reading everything and then find out, oh, well, this has to refrigerate for another hour or something like that. So I'm just going to take a small taste of this because I really wanted to, very good. And you could add more salt and pepper if you like, but that is just bursting. And then what I would do now at this point, I should have one here. I will put that into a clean mason jar and refrigerate that and give that some time to come together. And then when I'm ready to pour it onto my salad, let it come to room temperature again, give it a little whisk or give it a little shake. But it's emulsified. It should not come apart now. So just really nice. So it's so easy to make these dressings at home. And if you do, this should stay in the refrigerator. And as long as if you take some out and you dress your salad or you have it and you put it back in the refrigerator, you don't want to leave it sit out. It should stay in, it should keep well for you for 7 days. So I would recommend if you don't have this, another glass jar would be a really good idea. I like to keep these on hand, and you could reuse the seals. That should keep it really nice. And I would recommend labeling it and dating it, because you don't want to guess. It's not a good way to do the taste test to see if these things have gone bad or not. It's best to put on the date when you stick it in the fridge, so you know that you only have a certain number of days to go. Okay, so very nice. That came together really nice. So there's lots of good recipes. I'm going to put another recipe on the website as well for a ranch dressing, and I think you'll like that. It's the same principles. We're going to emulsify and slow with your stream, a lot with your arms. So a lot of those using our arm muscles. So let's set this aside, and we'll get our pastas out and our shrimp and finish those off. And our shrimp has come along nicely with our orzo. And that's exactly, okay, I'm going to bring this over to you so you can see here. This is what we wanted to happen. And I'm just going to go like that. Hold on. Excuse me. Sorry, I just have a tickle today. So that's what we wanted to happen. We wanted our liquid to get absorbed, and it has. And we have our shrimp. Nice. Scrape up all the pepper and the garlic, get that all in here. And then what we're going to do at the end is we're going to put some parsley and some feta on here. So I have some chopped parsley ready to go. Feta. Okay. Parmesan cheese. So a nice little skillet, like a 1-dish dinner right there. So this is coming along. This looks good. We have our endive and radicchio salad with our cannellini beans, a nice winter bean. We have our creamy herb dressing, really nice here. And this is a little bit of a heavier dressing. I don't know if I would put it on arugula or something like that. Maybe a kale salad, maybe something with a heartier lettuce blend. That might be really nice. And let's get our other item here, and we'll talk about that. And we'll put that in a nice dish. Let's get a nice little serving dish here. We won't put it all in, but maybe we could just put some in just to show you how that came together. Yeah, that's beautiful. Really nice and easy weeknight meal. And we could just put our little bit of parm on top of that as well. There you go. So we have a pasta dish. We have our dish with the shrimp and orzo. We have the endive and radicchio, and we have our herb vinaigrette. So just some nice things that come together. Yes, I had our shrimp defrosted. That's something that you could do the morning, so it's ready for you. You could defrost that under refrigeration, and let's see, you saute, we sauteed everything, and then we added our wine, we made our little fire, then we added our orzo with the tomatoes, and that just cooked within probably 8 minutes. And then we put our shrimp in, and that was probably another 5 minutes, and just to let that water evaporate, so it'd be a little bit thicker for us. To let that liquid evaporate out and let everything soak in together. So that was a very easy weeknight meal. And also our red lentil pasta. So we cooked the pasta, that's 10 minutes. And then we just sauteed you could saute salt pork, pancetta, or prosciutto, or diced ham, or bacon, or whatever you have, just to give a little bit of, render a little bit of that fat for flavor. And then we sauteed our artichokes. And shortcut, you could do a canned artichoke, you could do a canned roasted red pepper instead of using fresh. And then we put in our arugula, and that's something that you may have on hand. So all that comes together real easily for a nice weeknight dish. And then we have our dressing that we could either, and this could also be a really nice dip for your fresh vegetables as well. So again, any herbs that you have on hand, yes, this does take a little bit of time to make sure that you have all those herbs on hand and ready to go. And I just wanted to show you just some other vinegars. Today we did the champagne vinegar. I encourage you to try some of these other ones. Sometimes used to be that, maybe a while ago, a few decades ago, we only used the white vinegar in our salad dressings. Then we started using red wine, and then keep getting exposed to more vinegars. And it's fun to experiment with them to see how they complement some of our dishes. Sometimes when I having a certain dish, I went, oh, that night that needs a balsamic vinaigrette, or this night needs a red wine vinaigrette, or whatever the case may be. But it's nice to play around with those to see which ones complement which food items. And it's always nice to have your own, and they do keep for a while. I make all of my own dressings, and I encourage you to do the same. That way we control the sugar content. We're not getting any extra additives. And like I said, most of those are going to last in the refrigerator for a good 7 days. Just give it a shake and you're ready to stir. I'm going to get this right in the refrigerator as soon as we're done talking today. All of these will hold well. The pasta dish with the arugula, I don't think that would freeze well, but it would certainly be a good meal prep. So something that you could divide right now into 4 portions and take that for lunches on the daily. It gives you a good source of protein in there, a good carb. And what I mean by a good carb is, it's not white flour. It's from the flour that they've made from red lentils, which is really nice. And our orzo dish, we just used a regular white pasta orzo, but we have it with shrimp, nice balanced dinner. Could you freeze it? Probably, but my shrimp were already frozen, so I probably won't do that. This is probably going to be had in one setting. And of course, this salad, this is what I like about these, using a heartier leaf like radicchio or the endive. You can probably, and the beans, this should probably stay nice for us for a few days without getting too wilty. Or you could leave the dressing off and put that on each day if that's something that you want to meal prep, or if this is going to be eaten in one setting. But it's a really nice addition. And it's something that's nice to have in the wintertime when those other vegetables aren't at their peak freshness. And, we can't expect a lot out of those vegetables. It's not their fault. It's just not their time. And when they're in season, that's when they're going to show off for us and be bursting with flavors and give us the best taste experience. Also cost effective, as well, and hopefully close to you. So yes. So again, all of these will be on my website. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at laurazervos.com, and I'll be happy to answer you. Again, I'll put all the recipes, the nutritional content, and some pictures on there as well to show you along the way, and some serving suggestions too, how they would pair nicely if you are looking for a carb balanced diet. The shrimp and orzo, pretty carb balanced, right? We have a good amount of protein and a good amount of, carbohydrate, kind of close to the same. I would say you need to just a small amount of protein if you need to. That might not be the case for you to balance the red lentil pasta out, but it can stand alone as well. Salad is obviously an excellent side dish. And I forgot to mention too, we talked about the A vitamins and the C vitamins and the B vitamins, but think about the compounds that we're getting in our radicchio. It's that deep purple. So we know that we're getting the anthocyanins that are such a good antioxidant that could do so much for our body and help with inflammation. So good to have that as a part of our healthy eating pattern. And I encourage you to get some fresh herbs and spices that you could use. We used all herbs in this and cut them and care for them. And like the extra herbs that you have, you would want to make sure you have a few options. You could either leave them in a paper bag until you're ready to use them again. They should keep well for you. Sometimes with basil, I might like to, we have our plant over here. And so I'll either leave it go, or if I have it, if I buy it and it's already cut, I just put it in a glass container like this, like you would a bouquet of flowers, and it'll stay nice for you for a couple of days. So just some ideas for you there. But again, thank you so much. I hope you try some of these. I hope that you do try some plant-centered meals and some, some seafood meals, and like we have with our shrimp there, and make them a part of your part of your eating pattern. So just trying to incorporate a variety of foods, that's what keeps us healthy and of course happy. So thanks again. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you stay on the path to wellness. So long.